I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is, I don't know what this is.
Bob Dylan, It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding.
It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. This is for the big homie, Armando. Man, I love me some Bob Dylan actually, but we're getting killed with the copyright. Bob Dylan? Robert?
Blocking it. So hopefully it doesn't get blocked. If it gets blocked again, we'll have to sadly silence it. So you
Have we ever had a successful Bob Dylan?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Only Bleeding.
But if it does get blocked, I don't know. Somebody got all like upset with me. I use iMac, so I don't know what other computers do. Can you open up two tabs? They were like blah 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 about the two tab thing.
Man, shut the hell up. Y'all don't know what you're talking about.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Play your phone at the same time. I don't know
what they're talking about, bro.
It seems like other computers.
I love when people who have no idea all have their
opinions,
silly ass opinions.
We're doing the best we can, okay?
I don't even respond to those people. You shouldn't respond to them.
I don't, but sometimes in my heart I'm like, do they think that we would prefer to put out a reaction that has no sound? I know. Think about it.
You silly people. That don't make no sense.
That's what I'm saying.
For timely, topical, political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. The reason that our stuff gets blocked and other channels don't is because we play the thing from front to the back without interruption. And that's the way we've always done it. And other channels are smart to break it up, because if you break it up, then you don't get demonetized.
Right.
We do get demonetized, but we figure we make up the difference on Patreon, with our alliances and things of that nature. So we don't, we don't complain about it. But sometimes what the record label will do is they will actually kill the song.
It won't let us release it.
It won't let us release it. It'll block the video. So that's what's happened with that. So, and then it doubles Sori's work, because it takes a while for the video to upload, and then once it gets uploaded, then it takes like I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes, and then
and then you go back to the drawing board,
she's got to go back to the drawing board, re-edit it, and do it again. So it is what it is.
It's not your fault,
but it's not y'all's fault. I mean, it's Bob Dylan's record label. All right, it's all right, Mom. Only Bleeding. Let's go.
Here we go.
Oh, is this live? Maybe this won't get killed if it's live. Whoa.
Yikes.
Yikes. Make it rhymes with naked.
Yep.
Make it naked. This man is rapping. Whoo! Deal with Bob Dylan, Tekashi 6ix9ine, you idiot. Rhymes with all around you. What? This guy, bro. Talk to him, brother minister. Them that think death's honesty won't fall upon them naturally. Talk to them. Holy hell, bro.
He had a lot to say.
Okay.
He rhymed that very well.
He is. I mean, that was rap. That rhyme scheme, like, you could put a beat on that, and that's rap. And he's saying, like, he's giving it the business in that situation, bro. Like, this guy, I'm blown away by this guy, to be honest with you. Like, this is crazy what he was able to pull off like lyrically what he was able to pull off. The internal rhyme scheme, and then you had the little external at the end where he was making the last line rhyme with the
previous. Yeah.
And the other thing is, so like in our song, there's a vocal part for yours truly, and it's a very very simple like riff pattern as I'm doing it, but like I'm having a hard time with it obviously, and it's like like trying to make sure that I have everything down or whatever. And he's doing this like mega complex rhymes, and he's like not missing a beat or whatever. That is extremely difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people realize like what he just did live. That's like that's very freaking impressive to be able to do both of those at the same time and not miss.
Yeah, but was the guitar playing basic?
I don't think it was that basic. I mean, whether it's basic or not, the rhyme scheme wasn't, and what he was doing lyrically wasn't. You try to do it.
Oh no, I'm not going to try to do it. I've seen how long this one has taken me.
Right, to even stay on beat. You don't even have to play. It's just to be on beat. Nope. Take 59. Nope.
He goes like this sometimes. I'm like, stop it.
Of course, I'm sure he practiced a lot to get better.
You know what? That's true.
Like I the more I've, because I'm practicing like every night really hard, doing my scales, whatever. And like, so now when I hear songs and things like that, I'm like, oh, okay, I could do that.
Yeah?
Yeah. But the singing and the playing at the same time and not missing a beat.
Then he added the harmonica in there.
Yeah, forget it. Like, I'm out. I'm out.
When I have too many parts in a row, I start getting nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I screw up this one? What if I screw up the next one? So I like it when someone else has to jump in. Like there's parts where you jump in, and so then it kind of like gives me a break from mine. He's doing it all by himself.
Yeah. Well, you just get in your head too much.
Yes, it's true. I do.
You had too much. If you would just practice, like if you would invest an hour of practice a day, then you would be fine with it. But you're not going to do it.
That's not true that I'm not going to do it.
Just hasn't happened yet since the band is formed.
No, it was happening, and then I got sick and my stomach, and it is true. That is true. Wow.
You would not be missing the cues and the lyrics and all that stuff if you were doing it.
No, I said I did do it, and then I stopped doing it.
Right. All right, let's get into what this man was saying. Darkness at the break of noon, shadows even the silver spoon, the handmade blade, the child's balloon, eclipses both the sun and moon. You understand, you know too soon. There's no sense in trying. Mm-hmm. I think I could pass as Bob Dylan. Here's the thing about Bob Dylan to me. Every time I listen to him, I'm like, yo, he's not like hitting notes.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But I think he got big because of his message, like what he was saying. I think his message, and he kind of had like a nonconformist.
And I think
perspective in the 60s.
Once you love him as an artist, and he has that kind of, I think, basic sound to him. Like, it has that sort of country sound. You could almost picture somebody sitting on their front porch singing it. He's got the harmonica in there and stuff. And I've said it before, I think that it's a sound that you fall in love with, and then just leave it alone. Let it be. Just sing it out.
But look at what he's saying. Darkness at the break of noon, which is not, think about it, break of noon, that's when it's supposed to be the brightest. Shadows even the silver spoon. So you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, but even they're being affected by the darkness, which most of the time, rich people are
right. They're unaffected by the pains of the rest of society.
With that movie that just won the Parasite.
Yeah.
That I think it was a Japanese or a Chinese or a Korean movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That was a pretty crazy one.
But that was like one of the themes of the movie. These rich people who are so unaffected by the suffering of.
Oh yeah.
So there's some sort of situation that happens where it's like even rich people, like, you can't get away from it. And I don't know, like the unrest of the 60s. He's right in the thick of it. 1965.
When was the Depression?
Well, the Depression was like 20, 30 years, maybe even 40. Probably 30 years. It's at the 20s, right? It was like,
I don't know.
The roaring 20s. You had the roaring 20s, and then
the thing is, my grandmother was affected by.
You had 1929. It started.
Yeah.
So you had the roaring 20s, and then it went. Phew!
But then it ended in 1941.
Yeah.
So that's why my grandmother would have been affected by it.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's talking about that. I think he's talking about just all the unrest that was going on in the 60s itself. Mm-hmm. You had Vietnam. You had. the women's movement, you had the civil rights movement, like there were all these movements popping up at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think it was just one of those things where you could not be an unaffected rich person.
Right.
Every facet of life was being, because you would be a rich person and then your kid would be, I'm swearing off materialism and I'm going to be a hippie, you know. So like everybody was being affected by this thing, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing, because it was an ideological shift, you know, an ideological shift. So there's no amount of money that's going to protect you from that. So it was a dark time, I think, probably in the Western world, not just America. I don't know if Bob Dylan is he essentially an American guy? I'm not sure, because a lot of these guys are.
I would assume
these guys are like from the UK.
Yeah,
We just assume all these greats are Americans.
Yeah, I assumed he was American just because of what he sounded like.
Pointed threats they bluff with scorn. Suicide remarks are torn from the fool's gold mouthpiece to hollow horn. Plays wasted words proves to warn that he not busy being born is busy dying.
He's American.
Hey, we got one. He who is not busy being born is busy dying. That's a good line, bro. Like if you're not evolving, if you're not growing, you know, if you're not growing, you're dying, and you're not changing, you're dying. I think that part is probably like, okay, verse 1 is talking about all this unrest or whatever that's going on, and it's like, look, if you want to hold on to the old way and you want to, and I think that's like a lot of what's happening in the country right now. Like there are people saying there are institutional things that have to change, and then you have other people going, no, we don't want them to change, we want them to stay exactly the same. And so now there's this grinding of gears on one another, and that's what was happening in the 60s, whether it was the civil rights movement, even the hippie movement was trying to point something out. And it's funny because some won and some lost. I think, you know, you could say marginally speaking that the civil rights movement won and the women's movement won, but the hippie movement lost because the hippie movement was basically an anti-materialism movement, but that's not going to win in a capitalist context.
Right.
Period. And I just think the idealism of the hippie movement was like unrealistic to human nature.
Yeah.
Like communal living and sharing everything, including your wife. Like nobody's gonna do that shit, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I like the way your eyes looked when you just said that.
So
I didn't know they were sharing their wife. I knew that
free love, and it's like, oh, if you want to have one person, you're being selfish, and how can you possess a person? It was all this, you know, weird, you know, occult like shit. Like, fuck out of here, bro. You try to shit with me, I'll kill you. All right, verse 3. Temptation's page flies out the door. You find yourself at war. Watch waterfalls of pity roar. You feel the moan, but unlike before, you discover that you just be one more person crying. So this is a person who's duped into going to jihad against these Viet Cong who did nothing to us. Like all these wars. But when you're a young American male full of patriotism and adrenaline, man, forget it. And then you find out too late that you made a mistake.
Oh my word!
What did Eminem say? You're on the bus with their baked beans. What you know about war? You're only 18 or whatever. It's true. It's true. Like waterfalls of pity roar. You feel to moan, but unlike before, you discover that you just be one more person crying. Like nobody cares.
So basically, you just shut up and just go with it because you already made that decision.
People don't really care though.
Crying is not gonna.
People don't really care. Like when Johnny Michael Spann died, like he was one of the first folks. He was an agency guy. He died, and it was like this big thing, and they were reporting, oh, the first American died in Afghanistan, blah blah blah, and you know, guy's a legend, but. Then after that, just the numbers came in. Nobody cares.
I know.
And people don't care about it. And it's so crazy to me. Like, one of the biggest indicators that nobody cares was Trump tried to get the troops home in Afghanistan. And there were a whole bunch of Democrats and some Republicans that voted against the withdrawal. And you had people talking about, you know, going to war with the Russians and shit because the Russians supposedly paid off. You know, I'm like... And we've got friends in the channel that were in Afghanistan that had their home date pushed out, I don't know, 13 weeks, 5 months, 6 months, or whatever.
It was a lot.
And I'm like, And then you got all these people chilling, like, all comfortable and shit in their garage. We need to go after Russia. We need to put some Russian body bags on the ground. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, but it's just politics. So, like, you got these people chilling, comfortable, talking about, like, escalating conflict with the Afghanis and the Russians. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, so that he can spend more time away from his daughters and his wife. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? People don't care about these soldiers, man. Left or right, they do not care.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's just like, just generally speaking, like when you think of humanity, like, so months ago we had done a reaction. I don't even remember what reaction it was. And we talked about that little girl that she wasn't given enough water when she was crossing over, like, into the border, and then
that
she ended
was
up
a year
dying.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of the first Middle America videos we did.
Yeah, and it was, like, absolutely heartbreaking. Like, oh my gosh. And then, like, you can see something really sad like that, but then everything just moves on. Actually, last night when we were eating before we went to the pier, and I was just, like, watching all of these people walking around, and I'm thinking, like, how so many people have been affected by COVID, and a lot of people have died because of it, and people know people directly who died. And then, like, but everybody just goes on with their day. Like, people are still out at the pier, people are still buying pizza and eating ice creams, and, like, I think that people have to continue living, but at the same time, like, I hate the feeling of, like, time moving forward on such tragedies. And so you have it with the war and the soldiers, but you have it with so many other horrible things too.
Yeah, but the American soldier is somebody who's particularly used as a chess piece by both sides.
Ugh.
So if Trump wants to take troops out of Afghanistan, then you have elements on the other side that are gonna say, nope, that's wrong because Trump said it, or they don't want Trump to get any credit for ending the war in Afghanistan, so they're gonna vote for legislation to keep those guys in there. They don't give a fuck about these soldiers. They don't care about them or their families. They're gonna go. The intelligence report was like, I was going back and forth with somebody about this, and they were like, well, so you're going to take Trump's word for it that it didn't happen? I'm like, this is the NSA, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like, and then, like, we went through, like, the history of the intelligence agencies and things like that about how we got into some wars that we shouldn't have been in. And they did not care because it was just Trump. And they didn't give a fuck about the ramifications of what would happen to the... They didn't care. And it's like... and it's the same thing with the right. Like, you had right-wingers that were chomping at the bit. Yes, there were Democrats that voted to go into Iraq, but it was mostly a right-wing operation. Sorry, we can't rewrite history. Those are the facts. And we sent those boys into Iraq on completely fallacious principles and complete lies, and we didn't care because Bush and America. Yeah. Like, those are facts. Yeah. So... the American soldier is a particularly abandoned demographic on the left and the right. That I could talk about that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, but no side cares about those guys at all, and they're just their blood and their bodies and their families, all of that gets utilized based on whatever political points you're going to get for or against. And that's how people make these decisions with these guys, and it's crazy. It's crazy to me. So now Trump is such a polarizing figure that you can't recognize when he's done something good. or you do recognize that he's done something good and you don't want him to get that credit.
Yep.
So you're willing to put these, keep these dudes away from their daughters. Yep. People really believe they're good people. They really believe they're good people. It's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. So lyrically, this guy is crazy. Disillusioned words like bullets bark as human gods aim for their mark. Make everything from toy guns that spark to flesh-colored Christs that glow in the dark.
What's he talking about with that?
It's easy to see without looking too far that not much is really saying. I think they do have, like, flesh-colored Jesus, like glow-in-the-dark Jesuses. I do think that. Right? Don't you think so?
I don't know.
Glow, just if I put glow-in-the-dark Jesus, there you go. It's right there. Look. Like, everything gets commoditized around, capitalism, so nothing is really sacred.
Sacred, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've got toy guns that spark. So like we're teaching these little kids to become the next generation of warriors in the midst of a war in 1965.
Yeah.
And disillusioned words like bullets mark as human gods aim for their mark, because now you're a soldier, you're over there, and dudes are trying to kill you because you just happen to be in their land.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I was talking to a guy one time. He was from Afghanistan. He was from a country in the Middle East. It wasn't Afghanistan or Iraq. And he said, why are you called terrorists? And I said, well, dudes are trying to kill us. And he's like, if somebody went to your house, it was just very basic, like, you guys are over here. Like, what are you doing? Like, are we supposed to just bow to you and whatever?
Yeah, no,
and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'm not talking anymore, man. You go in there and have your, it's halal. All the beans and rice are halal. Like, I can't talk to you anymore. But it's like, it's crazy. Like, so God, so you become disillusioned and dudes are shooting at you. So now you're going to aim for your mark and you're going to play God because you decide who dies today. Like, it's a crazy, crazy situation. While preachers preach of evil fates, teachers teach that knowledge waits, can lead to $100 plates. Goodness hides behind its gates, but even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked. Like all these different roles in society, whether it's the preacher or the teacher or the president, all of it is getting sold out because you've got these $100 plates. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like
I don't know what $100 plates it means.
You know, like when Hillary's or Trump or whoever is raising, and it's $100 a plate because they're the political machine is you need money in a capitalist environment. There's a theory that it's impossible to have a democracy in a capitalist context, and they're probably right, because whoever has the most money is going to be able to have the most influence, and that's why you have these
not necessarily
these two parties. What do you mean not necessarily?
I mean, Trump did a lot for free with social media.
Well, yeah, but he still invested millions and millions and millions of dollars of his own money, but he had that to burn because he was a billionaire. So, and then the other thing is he got his notoriety as Trump because he was a billionaire.
True.
So, so that was a theory. It was a brother, what's his name? The dude, the funny guy that you like. Brother Umar Johnson.
Oh, God.
He threw that line out there. I was like, because Umar, he says a lot of silly stuff. But he said that line, I'm like, I was like, yo, he's right, bro. And that's one of the reasons why we're stuck in this two-party system. One is because, people fall for the fear tactics every 4 years. Oh, if you don't vote for our guy, so now it's Trump is the most dangerous president of all. He's the most. Oh, really, Bernie? He's the most dangerous president of all time. Not more dangerous than Bush, who brought us into freaking Iraq and Afghanistan. Nope, it's Trump. It's Trump. So now I'm supposed to be terrorized into voting for Biden because Biden loves black people and Trump is a racist, and I'm supposed to play this game with these people. I'm not voting for none of you bastards. Biden. So there's just so much here. We could be in here for 5 hours, bro. This is a good song, lyrically crazy. Like the dude, he's rapping right here. And it's it's crazy because when you look at the initial rap, it was it was very, very basic. This is Biggie, Rakim level rap.
That's true.
It's a 9.8 for me. It's a 9.8.
9.6 for me.
Bob freaking Dylan, ladies and gentlemen. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.